This episode of the Daviii Third Eye podcast is brought to you by Crescent Moon Agency. Crescent Moon Agency harnesses over 75 years of combined marketing experience to illuminate bold new paths for serious business professionals. Like the crescent moon, an ancient symbol of growth, intuition, and transformation, the agency guides clients through phases of evolution with insight, clarity, and unmatched precision. Crescent Moon Agency's mission is to deliver state-of-the-art, strategically sound, and creatively elevated marketing solutions that reflect the cutting edge of modern business, while honoring the timeless principles of trust, craftsmanship, and excellence. Crescent Moon Agency provides a Tiffany-level experience, refined, rare, and radiant, with white-glove service, bespoke strategy, and results that shimmer with significance. For leaders who seek more than just attention, for those ready to rise, we are the moon that lights the way forward. Take your next step with Crescent Moon Agency. Online at crescentmoonagency.com. Looking to grow your urban farm or turn your goats, chickens, and pumpkin pies into the next agritourism hotspot? Lane Industries helps communities and companies go from planning to profit. No job is too big or too small. Visit lanebiz.com or follow us at lanebiz25 on X. That's lanebiz.com, helping your local roots grow strong.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Chris.
And together we are
Daviii Third Eye. We're hosting the Daviii Third Eye podcast, and we're going to explore a whole range of topics, including
goats,
bees,
chickens,
mushrooms,
cool trees,
homesteading,
oh yeah, organic gardening,
permaculture,
community building,
chickens.
Did we say growing mushrooms?
Shiitake mushrooms.
Growing shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake.
Suburban nature stewardship.
Finding horse teeth.
Hosting a backyard concert.
Making paths in the woods. Pollinator gardens. Edible and native landscaping.
So if you like learning about raising gardens, raising families, and building up community in this crazy world, join us for the Daviii Third Eye podcast.
And raising a little hell.
Daviii Third Eye.
So we've been talking about growing mushrooms for quite a while.
I think this is a great topic to bring in our favorite value of incrementalism because this is a topic that we have talked about. When's the first time we talked about growing mushrooms?
Like 3 or 4 weeks ago. No, I don't know. We talked about it in Midtown, right?
When we were living in Midtown, we talked about it.
Because it's a good, like, small space thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we were too seriously talking about it before living in Midtown.
No, I hadn't even really considered that people cultivate mushrooms, like, in a homesteading environment until we were living there and we were getting into having, like, a big garden and bees and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, you just start to get exposed to cool things, and growing mushrooms was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think shiitake is considered one of the as far as I can tell, like, beginner mushroom to grow on logs. And we have grown other types of mushrooms before, because that's when back at that house, we grew some oyster mushrooms from, I believe, I don't know if it was from North Spore or Field and Forest, but at one of the mushroom companies, we got a box that was full of inoculated material. I can't remember if it was sawdust or something like that.
Yeah, it was sort of like Chia Pet style, where you just like open the box and slice it open and let it go. I don't even think we had to do anything to it.
No, I think we had to refrigerate it for a little while.
Did we like mist it with some water once in a while?
Mist it every so often, and it's like at a certain point you have to open the bag. It's like there's a little set of instructions, but it was really straightforward, and I thought really easy for a countertop thing. And I think we threw those into some stir fry or something.
Yeah, we did. They were really tasty. And we were like, mushrooms are good. We should grow this some more.
Yeah, I think they were pink oyster mushrooms.
That sounds correct.
And the other thing, though, I think the hardest thing about growing those mushrooms was just not letting them go too long. Like trying to let them grow to a good size while still being a nice texture for eating.
About how long was that when we grew those pink oyster mushrooms?
I have zero idea. I can't remember at all.
It was pre-pandemic. I know that.
It
was probably around 2018 or 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you had brought it up a year or two before that where you're like, oh, we should get like a mushroom kit. We can grow it in our kitchen and just sort of test the waters with it.
Mm-hmm. And it was successful, but then, like, man, life got really turmoily after that. Not too long after that, we moved and did a whole bunch of wild adventures. So then when we first moved to this house, we had that forestry service come out,
Yes.
that land stewardship program, and just to kind of help evaluate the land. We had, like, not lived on our own any amount of land before that. We were on a 1/4 acre. And so even just 2.5 acres was a big, like, we were like, oh, we want to make sure that we're, respecting the land and just know what we're getting into. And so we asked for these guys to come out, and it's like a free service. I don't know if hopefully that program's still being funded, because it was really nice. And they just kind of looked at our property, and I had mentioned in the email to them something about potentially mushrooms and our ideas to control the invasives in the woods. And those guys seem to think that one of the only viable, like, using this small amount of land in our type of a, ecosystem, one of the only viable things might be growing mushrooms. And I believe they brought up shiitake specifically, and they helped speciate a lot of logs or trees back there. But we didn't have access to the other side of the creek at that time.
Yeah, you guys made it to the creek, and that was about it.
The log of
I
doom.
think that was that the Department of Wildlife, or was that Forestry, or it wasn't agriculture. It was like Department of Wildlife or something.
No, I don't think it was wildlife. I think it was forestry. But
Department of Forestry, yeah.
and I think it could have been agriculture, because they were helping evaluate people for using their land as a resource while, like, respecting the
Yeah, I'll look up the details of that, and I'll toss it in the episode notes also. We'll make sure we link that, because I think trying to collaborate with state and federal agencies as much as possible is really it's a good thing in general, but then you learn so much more about it. But it also gives a little bit more purpose for those departments. Those guys were, like, super happy to come out and spend an hour or two out here just walking around with you, and we got so much knowledge from them.
Talking about controlling invasives and what would constitute a riparian zone. And at that point, I had never seen the bottom of our creek, so I didn't know whether or not it was a rocky bottom.
Yeah.
And so when they asked me, is it a rocky bottom, I was like, I have no idea. And they said, well, if it is, it would qualify for riparian zone, which has, like, special allowances towards, like, just helping from the state to support a healthy waterway. So, and just, like, guidance on how to not, like, wreck the water,
Yeah.
So I was all about that, but I didn't know when I was in communication with them.
Yeah. Well, they were a great starting off place, and we did that a few months into moving in here. And that was they sort of put mushrooms back on the agenda for us, I think,
Yeah.
if you could say that. And we started talking about it more seriously. And then over the past year or so, we've gotten even more and more serious about it. We're like, all right, let's map out the actual steps of what we need to do and game out what the budget looks like and what we can do with these mushrooms and that sort of thing. I think it's a little bit more exotic, talking about growing mushrooms at scale than it is doing eggs, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
we've got backyard chickens, and that's pretty, like, no brainer and in our comfort zone, just like, oh yeah, you just get some cartons and put the eggs in there and you can sell them, But when you're talking growing mushrooms, it's a little bit more in depth of a process. I
It's
think.
just something that we haven't been involved with
Yeah.
because we've been keeping chickens for over a decade,
Yes.
just like in a little backyard flock kind of setting. And so growing mushrooms, I didn't grow up growing mushrooms, but I grew up with family that kept chickens.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so there were a lot of really fun, crazy looking mushrooms all around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the Amanita, muscaria looking mushrooms, like those classic fun gnome looking mushrooms. And I think the Pacific Northwest is known for lots of mushrooms. But they were just like part of the environment. I never considered, like I said, people even grow them. And then one thing we started doing before we really got serious about seeing about growing mushrooms was just going out and looking through the woods and seeing what's already out there.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of just fun wild mushrooms come up. We found even ones that are medicinal and edible. We found a lot of wood ear. We
found that morel one time.
Found the morel for sure. We found I think some varieties of oysters, none that I was like brave enough to want to eat or anything like that. Like speciating mushrooms. I know there's this rampant mushroom phobia in our culture, and I've got a hefty dose of it, So even if it's something that I feel like I can have a pretty good idea about, I'm still not brave about eating wild mushrooms. But we found turkey tail out there.
Yeah.
We found stuff that's like turkey tail, but the underside was wrong. I can't remember. I feel like turkey tail has pores, and the look-alike has something else. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's on my personal agenda over the next year is to get someone who's a lot more knowledgeable about mushrooms out here and to walk with us and talk with us and kind of teach us the next steps and point out a few things that we can safely gather that's already growing in our woods.
I feel like if we found a morel again, I would feel more confident, like having identified that.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the other ones, I know there's a lot of things that can look like other things, but it's just about being cautious, right, and learning. And then hopefully, we can find somebody to come out and look. I think a morel, I would feel safe if we found it. But I don't know about anything else. And then they say things like if you're growing shiitake, you need to be able to identify the shiitake because other things can inoculate those logs and potentially grow. But it seems like it's a pretty good area out there. It always stays shaded. There's a creek that runs through it. There's, a lot of mushrooms that want to grow. And then we have some reasonable candidates for species to grow mushrooms on.
What are some of the species that shiitake specifically likes to grow on? We kind of spent the summer going through that, didn't we?
Yeah, so like the primary one is oak. And I think white oak is somewhat preferred to red oak. But it's a hardwood. It's a hardwood species that it likes the most. And I think some of the other ones that it will grow pretty well on are things like sweet gum and sugar maple, red maple, ironwood, which I don't think I could pick an ironwood out of a lineup, but
No.
American beech. And then I guess I think I heard someone say, because I've done a lot of shiitake research in the form of watching YouTube videos and then listening to some I don't know if it's podcasts, but reading a lot of stuff online, like extension offices and stuff like that. And I believe I heard somewhere it's not every hickory. It might be like a very specific hickory. And then there is a lesser tier that they will grow on but don't prefer, and I can't remember what those are. But it doesn't like conifers. It wouldn't like pine or that kind of stuff, cedar.
Yeah, things that are more hard, basically.
Yeah, so oak, is the top one. It's not native to here, though. It's native to, like, East Asia.
Yes.
It comes from, as far as I know.
I think so. I think that's where it was named and discovered by science, if you will.
And it's just general appearance of it. Oh, Chris, do you want to say the Latin name?
Let's see. Lentinula adodes.
Lentinula adodes.
Lentinula.
Adodes.
You have to put the emphasis on the new and the A.
Well, I'm glad we got to say that.
Lentinula adodes. That is the scientific name for shiitake mushrooms.
So important. So important. Anyway, so
If you're listening for the terms.
if you're listening for the terms. Anyway, so like the general, what it looks like is a little like 2 to 4 inch across, little tan to dark brown mushroom. They're about, I think, 1 to 2 inches tall. They grow out of hardwood, logs or I guess dead trees in their native environment. The cap surface, it's kind of dry. It has like a cracked or scaly appearance. They will have gills that are pale cream to white, closely spaced, and under the cap. But I don't know what the spore print would be. There's certain characteristics that you need to be able to like have a pretty reasonable identification of mushrooms. So I don't know how details you need to get to be like, I'm pretty sure this is a shiitake. But I feel like if you get a mushroom that looks like that and you inoculated a log for shiitake, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, and like we were saying, I think that there's like one more level of education and research that we want to
Attain
or master before we just go like, hey, it's shiitake night at the bubble, like.
Yeah, for sure, because we've never cooked them, I know that they have a lot of purported health benefits and like a good nutrient profile, and some people cut off the stems. They don't cook them with the stems on. I think they go in miso soup a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've probably eaten them.
Oh, I've totally eaten shiitake mushrooms.
I
yeah.
haven't knowingly eaten them, but I'm not. I'm not anti any kind of tasty mushrooms. I haven't found one where I was like, I hate that kind, but not this kind.
Yeah, that's true. Going back to our ingrained fear of mushrooms is like every time I've eaten a mushroom, I'm like, this is a pretty tasty mushroom, man. Yeah.
Yeah, of the ones that have been offered to me as food, I have liked. I can't think of a mushroom I didn't like. I like some more than others, but I just usually love mushrooms in food.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Apparently, a small percentage of the population, if they eat raw shiitake, will get a very specific type of streaky dermatitis.
Whoa.
So itchy skin reaction. But I think it's only to raw shiitake, and not everyone will develop it. But to inactivate that, you just lightly cook it. But I don't know if there's a certain like temperature they have to get to. But I don't think it's very high. So it's
like
easy
a little rash or something that you get.
And I think
Does it go away later on when the shiitake
I didn't look
wears
into
off,
it beyond that. It was just mentioned in one of the YouTube videos I was watching.
Fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
I always feel like no matter how educated you are on mushrooms, there's always one more level where you're just like, oh, that's super cool. I want to learn about that now. And it never ends.
No, there was a certain point, I think, when we moved here and we first started talking about growing them, I was just listening to a ton of audiobooks just about like the mycorrhizal networks and forests and all this amazing stuff. And I think Entangled Life was the name of a book that I really liked.
That sounds familiar.
And it was just like by the end, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're the coolest organisms in the whole world, And they're just, they are really, really cool. And they live in a very, seemingly foreign way, but they're ubiquitous in our environment.
Yeah. Who are a couple of other authors that you'd be like, oh, these are your go-tos if you want to learn a little bit more about mushrooms?
Stamets. Paul Stamets is like really...
that's like the guy.
big guy. He's the one who has the best stories. Well, I don't know about the best, but some very great stories. Seems to have a very just extensive knowledge of mushrooms.
That's the guy that has the mushroom hat.
The mushroom hat that's flammable. I mean, how fun is that? It's like he could burst into flames any moment.
I mean, most hats are flammable, though.
I think it's especially flammable. Like, it's like ready to go. It's like you need tinder. It's like a tinder hat.
Those mushroom people, they're living on the edge all the time.
Living on the edge. And then there's my favorite.
You couldn't help yourself from singing that.
There's my favorite mushroom joke that I heard on NPR a million years ago.
Say it.
Okay, thank you. There are old mushroom hunters and bold mushroom hunters, but there are no old, bold mushroom hunters. And I'm like, I love something that rhymes and is all about caution. It's refreshing.
It's a great rhyme.
More cautious poetry. Like, about like what types of snakes you can pet and what types of leaves to use as toilet paper. It's all very useful stuff.
Yes. I love a good mushroom poem.
Yeah. I guess there are other mushroom poems.
Hey there, folks. I just want to say thanks to Jenny at South Tulsa Grooming Company. She's a dear friend of ours, and she not only does amazingly cool things with dog hair, but she's super compassionate and caring as can be when it comes to handling your fur babies. This one time, I watched Jenny calmly handle a snarling chihuahua, and then it, went into some meditative state, and it woke up 15 minutes later in a warm towel with the demeanor and smell of a lassie. Okay, that may be hyperbole. That Taco Bell dog wasn't meditating, I suppose, but it was in a relatively good place when she was washing it. I mean, good for a chihuahua. You get it. We love Jenny, and I never hesitate to recommend South Tulsa Grooming Company to anyone looking for a solid, safe, and reliable dog groomer. Click over to tulsagrooming.com to schedule your next visit. Let's finish that thought a little bit about what you do with the log. Now that you've chosen your mushrooms and all that, what did we do with our log selection? We chose oak, right?
Yeah. Yes, we're lucky because you found on Marketplace some free oak logs being offered up by someone just right outside of town.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Todd. The log was great. Sorry we didn't come back for the bigger log.
Yeah, Todd was advertising a couple of humongous oak logs that he had just freshly cut down. And that's key for your mushroom log, is you need something that's freshly cut. It needs to be within about a week to 3 weeks, freshly cut. So you don't want like firewood season type stuff. So I was just looking on Marketplace, just looking for people with wood and stuff and looking for something that was freshly cut. This guy was advertising it. I messaged him. Obviously, he was having a hard time finding anyone to come pick up his logs because he immediately dropped the price from, whatever, $20 to just come get it. You could have it for free. So shout out to Todd. We love you. You had a cool thing going on, but sorry we didn't get the bigger log because it was just too big for us to pick up and carry back.
In our tiny truck.
Yeah, and also, the log that we did get was right on the edge of too big.
Too long.
Or too long also. But really, you want to cut them down to like 3 to 4 feet long so you could, move them around and handle them a little bit better. And you want the log to be between 3 and 8 inches in diameter. And I think the log that we ended up with was around that, but I think in its thickest end, it's around 9 to 10-ish inches probably.
And I think another thing to think about with the log is the growth rings. And how much new growth it has in there, because there's and I cannot remember the name of the wood. It's like not the heartwood. It's the layer right under the bark. And if it's like a thick layer in there, it's like more fuel for the mushrooms. It's more food for them.
Stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that term. That term.
Well, maybe we'll circle back and we'll drop that in there, or not. They're not listening to us for all the terms. Sapwood?
Yeah, sapwood. So sapwood is what shiitake prefer to eat. It's the living wood, or the alburnum, or the active xylem, or the new wood, or the light-colored wood. But basically, it's the younger, lighter, water-conducting outer ring of a tree. And you want a nice fat layer of that sapwood.
Yeah. Terms.
That's the term. Don't wear it out.
But you definitely want to get a freshly cut log and keep the bark intact, and you want that diameter to be, between 3 and 8 inches in diameter.
Yeah, and also the season when you cut the log is important.
Oh, yeah, we talked a lot about this. I was
Yeah.
trying to wrap my head around this because it was kind of difficult at first to comprehend.
In the dormant season, it's the preferred time to cut the log. So anytime from it's really fall to before bud break in the spring. And I think dead of winter is your safest bet. But we got one that was cut at the very end of October, which is kind of, on the early side, but it was available and we were, ready to go.
Yeah.
And then also, it's it will still grow shiitake even if you cut it in the spring. It's just not ideal.
Yeah, these are suggestions, right? If you want the ideal time, this is how you do it, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And so then we got the log home.
Yeah, we put it in full shade. We put it in our nature bubble along the trail for now. We might put it in a little bit better protected area once it starts fruiting. But for now, it's, where we had a bench, and it's just kind of sitting there and inviting. It's protected from the wind. Well, we've got it about, 6 or 8 inches above the soil, something like that?
Yeah, and I think it really varies because depending on your environment, you want them to stay reasonably humid. You don't want them to dry out, but you also don't want them to lay on the ground and rot.
Yeah.
So we have a relatively, wet environment. It dries out some, but usually during the middle of summer, the late days of summer. And we have relatively wet winters and springs and everything. So keeping it somewhat off the ground is a way to go. I think there is a case to be made in certain environments to just throw them on the ground. But since it wasn't specific to here, I didn't really put a lot of thought into that.
Do you like tasty bread? How about supporting hyper-local farm-to-table cuisine on your own terms? Let me tell you about a horse and a half farm stand. One day, I noticed a cute little farm stand appear just a ways down my street. I was like, oh man, that's cool. We were just talking about doing something similar. I hope there won't be competition. There will not be competition. First off, this farm stand is way better built than anything I'm building. Second, it turned out to be a mini French bakery. My neighbor with the horses is a brilliant baker as well as a horse trainer. Celine, that's her name, is from France and recently settled down with her husband in our neighborhood. She started baking baguettes and sourdough bread using recipes she grew up with back home. Then she built this adorable little farm stand, and the rest is history. Everyone in the neighborhood is raving all about the breads and treats they pick up at a horse and a half. My kids love running down and buying a giant cookie the size of their head. Or last week they came back with a tray of cinnamon rolls, and we had dessert and breakfast for days. Go to Facebook or Insta and search out A Horse and a Half. Foodies, if you get on hotplate.com, you can put in a pre-order and get notifications of new menu items. Once again, A Horse and a Half, farm stand and French bakery. All right, so once you get your log and all that, so then the steps of inoculation, we made a video about this. I thought inoculation was pretty fun. It was tedious, but we kind of expected that going in. And we did get our kit from North Spore, and we opted to get the little plugs that are inoculated. And so you just go through and you drill your holes. What we planned for about 100 holes, because that's what the kit said.
Yeah, the
it
kit
had,
was
100 plugs.
I mean, I think it's good to kind of go through the supply list.
Okay, yeah.
What do you need to have? So
you got your log.
We talked about the log. You need to order your spawn or acquire your spawn, and that can come in the form of little dowel plugs that you hammer into the drill holes, or like inoculated sawdust that you pack in with a special tool. So,
And the plugs, for those of you that are familiar with doing like shelves or putting together dressers, they're literally those little pegs that hold the wood panels together. And so if you're trying to guess what you're going to be tapping in and drilling and all that stuff, it's exactly those little dowels that you get. They're, you know, the about the size of your fingertip, and they're like, what, 1/8 of an inch in diameter or something like that.
I don't know, but the kit came with its own special little drill bit that perfectly like matched the plugs.
Yeah, it comes with a drill bit.
And there's like plus and minuses too, doing the plugs versus the sawdust. From my understanding, the plugs, you know, they're easier to do if you're just doing a few logs, or like us, just one log.
Yeah.
And but they're slower to colonize the log. And then for a big production, you would just get a special tool, and the sawdust would then be much more efficient and cost effective, and inoculates the logs faster. So, or colonizes the logs faster. So there's the log, the spawn, and there's lots of companies to get spawn from, but I did hear it strongly recommended to get it from a reputable company that has like, you know what you're getting, not just some buddy who says, yeah, that's Shiitake spawn.
Yeah, don't go to, you know, the SUV with its hatch open out in front of Walmart. And they're like, we got Shiitake spores, you know. Well, I don't know, maybe.
Whatever you're into.
You know. you can try your luck with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you've got your drill bit, and then you get a hammer or a mallet, and what kind of, you want to go through the list again?
Well, the thing is, you either need to have a hand drill or an angle grinder. And so, like, if you have a whole bunch of logs, you want an angle grinder with a special attachment to make it into a drill bit, so you can use your drill bit. Those go way faster than like what we used, our electric hand drill.
Yeah.
And then the bit came with the thing, a hammer or a mallet.
Mm-hmm. And then there's you need basically food grade wax. What it was cheese wax? Is that what they sent?
Yeah, like a paraffin. But I think the more I like read about things, the more people are like, get the special wax. Like, it's the one that works.
Yeah.
Don't use like whatever wax you have around.
Yeah, don't go melting down your vanilla candles or anything like that.
Yeah, or even beeswax. I thought beeswax, but since then I've heard a couple people just kind of not mention beeswax. A couple people said you could though, so I don't know. And then a crock pot. We tried to do it without a crock pot.
Yeah.
Just having, like, running the warm wax out there, that did not work at all.
Yeah, there's logistics involved. You know, if you're not doing this in a barn or in your kitchen or a workshop or something, and you're out where your logs are going to be, you need to have your wax heated up. And so we tried a couple of times to just melt the wax inside and bring it out, and then we're like, okay, crock pot, warm it up, and that really worked the best, is just having a crock pot out there, or another heat source just ready to go for it.
Yeah, and because it's not a dedicated crock pot for mushroom wax, you know, it's
not yet.
Now, well, we'll get a little crappy crock pot for that. What we did is just did a water bath where we just put some water in the bottom, and then we put the wax in a little metal cup.
Yeah.
Little metal mushroom cup, so it looked cool.
Yeah, we are not wax novices, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. And then the wax dauber. The kit came with a little dauber.
That thing was cute. Mm-hmm. And it worked out all right.
It worked great.
Yeah.
So then we drill. So talk about drilling the holes.
So then once you've got your log set out and you've got your plugs or your sawdust and all that, you're on the drilling phase. And we just sort of measured out our pattern on how, like, we wanted the holes to line up. And so we did columns or rows, depending on how you're oriented, just the length of the log, and we just spaced it out. And we tried to sort of offset them a little bit. Each column would stagger with the next one. And we just sort of used, you know, a star pattern if you're looking at the end of the log, and just took it all the way down the log. And so it was just drill, baby, drill the entire way. And then once we got done with our, we just estimated 100 holes because there were 100 plugs estimated in the kit. And then it was time to tap them all in. And so we just assembly line style just went on through.
I enjoyed that part. I thought it was really fun to tap the little plugs in, and that went pretty well. What I heard is that the mushrooms, the inoculate, will colonize very quickly longitudinally along the log, so long ways. But it has a hard time going around the log because of the way the fibers are oriented. They're in long straws along the length of it.
Yeah,
so that I was reading that putting them further apart from each other long ways is not that big of a deal, and maybe you want to cheat a little closer on your ways around the log.
Oh, interesting.
But also they said, but it will work either way. It's just kind of this optimization certain people get to.
It's like it's easier to walk on a log lengthwise than it is around it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Unless you're log rolling.
Yeah, and I think Evil won the log roll.
Got to have a log rolling contest with Shiitake.
It's a shame that Evil won.
Yeah. Evil definitely won the log rolling contest.
Yes, it did.
Another shout out to Upright Citizens Brigade. So after you tap in all your plugs and you've gone around the log and you've got them all in there, you check it twice, and then you get your warm wax, and then you just you dauber it all through, and just a good solid dab on each one. You want to make sure it's sealed. I wasn't as good with it, but Rachel really got into a groove with dabbing those wax things. I don't know, I was messy with it.
You know what the dauber reminds me of is like the truffula trees from...
The truffula trees from the Lorax.
From the Lorax. It kind of looks like one.
It does, yeah, like a truffula.
And it's useful.
Poof thing,
yeah. Yeah, just like those truffulas were.
Yeah, it's like a big cotton ball.
It's Susian, but it's good to also apply wax to logs.
Yeah. So, and that keeps them safe from, like other spores infecting. Yeah, it's nice and contained. They've got their little bubble or their cocoon there, and they start growing. Yeah. And what's the colonization timeline once we've done that?
Well, when it's cold, it's happening really slowly. So that's why it doesn't really matter if you get it done at the beginning of the fall or if you get it done at the end, like the very late winter, Until
it warms up, they're not doing
They're
much.
going real slow from December to February, at least in our area, in our hemisphere. We're zone like 7A.
In Green Country, Oklahoma.
Yeah, our last average frost is like April 15th, typically. So like... From what I can gather, it's like December through February, not a lot is going to go on. But then when it starts to warm up in spring, March through June, we should see some rapid colonization.
What do you think that looks like in stage 1 in your first season of getting some colonization growth?
I think sometimes you can see the white colonies kind of forming at the ends of the logs, and so you know that it's like working. Ours, we might not be able to see that because we might, but Todd spray painted all the ends of the log.
Yeah.
So that's kind of unfortunate, but I don't think it's going to affect anything in reality. And also, we ended up waxing the end of the logs, which some places said to do. The videos I watched from North Spore recommended waxing the ends of the logs. And then other people, they say it's not necessary or even... it causes problems with like moisture and airflow, which I don't know.
We'll find out and finagle as we go.
But we may potentially, in that March to June time frame, be able to see some colonies, like some mycelium at the end of the cut surfaces of the log. And then the very earliest, and this is super wishful thinking, not very likely, but the earliest first flush we could see would be in July through September.
And a flush is like they're fruiting and then you can pick them off of them?
Yeah, that would be the first time we see mushrooms.
Just getting our terms right.
And I hear they mostly come out of the little drill plug holes. And so that's where we could expect to see them. At a certain point, the wax will melt off. There might even be other insects and wildlife interacting with the log, so we shouldn't worry if a woodpecker decides to peck a hole in it.
Just let nature do its thing.
Yeah, the wax is just there for the beginning to give the shiitake a chance over other types of mushrooms. So, but the very earliest we could expect to see a flush would be July through September, but more likely would be September through November, so at least a full year.
Okay.
The possible kind of timeline would be as early as 9 months and as late as 15 months. But there are certain environmental factors that will signal the mushroom to fruit.
Oh, yeah.
And that
Besides
is,
heat?
Yeah, besides heat. So the temperatures do need to be in the 60s, like 60 to 75. It also needs to be relatively humid and ideally a big change in humidity. So there'd be like a big rainfall.
Okay.
And then a sudden change. And then after that first natural flushing, shiitakes, and I think there are a few other mushrooms that you can, but shiitakes you can force them to fruit. By they have to do it by themselves at least once is what I hear. But then if you soak them in cold water for 12 to 24 hours and then stack them back up, in 6 to 8 weeks they should fruit again. And
wow.
And you can repeat that.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
And so the turnaround time after that soaking, after you've harvested your first flush or whatever, you're probably inside 9 weeks at that point, you're getting another full flush.
As long as the environmental factors support it. So if we get our first flush in October, because it's in the 70s,
Yeah.
there, might not be in the 60s and the 70s by the time it's time to fruit again. And so then we'd expect to see it again the next spring. But then that year, we should be able to, if we want to force it, if we feel like it, have it fruit every 6 to 8 weeks.
Cool. So then year 2, we could conceivably get 2 or 3 flushes out of it, possibly. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. If everything, supports fruiting, then we should be able to do that. And I think the first time it fruits, that's not the most productive time. You start to see peak fruiting from years 2 through 5. But it will produce earlier and longer than that.
Yeah, that's just sort of the peak time. So,
And how much of that certain ring of wood is in your log will determine how long and how many mushrooms your log can produce.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're forcing it over and over, it's probably going to be a shorter duration because there's only so much material for mushrooms to eat in there.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it might last longer, like chicken. If you put your chickens under lights to force them to have more egg production through the winter, then they're going to have a shorter laying lifespan overall. And it just depends on what's important to you. Do you want a lot of egg production and you're going to be turning over those chickens? Or do you want something that you're kind of lazy, you don't have to worry about lights, and the chicken will have more natural lifespan, more natural relationship with their reproductive cycle.
Yeah, how intense are you going to run this system or whatever? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So maybe this time next year we will have had, it's December now, so hopefully we will have had a flush of mushrooms.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
There's a small scary chance that it will just miss the window and it won't happen until the year after.
Well, we learn, and that's how it goes. But I think what we'll probably do is we'll do another update when we start seeing some growth on it, right?
Well, maybe an update then, or because it doesn't really matter when you start the logs. We were discussing if we were going to harvest an oak tree in our woods to do a bigger production and maybe do a workshop where other people could come and inoculate logs and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because we have a log, an oak tree that's leaning in an area that it's not gonna be able to thrive in that location anyway.
Yeah, we went walking around trying to identify some potential trees that could be good for shiitake. And, we found a few, and most of them we don't want to cut down.
Oaks are
'cause-
very important in the
yeah,
environment.
we like the oaks, but there was this one that it's on the relatively scraggy side. It's very slanted, and it's sort of near an area that we've identified to sort of open up a little bit anyways. And so I think we're going to take that down, and we might turn that into a sort of workshop day or something like that.
Yeah.
If there's interest in that, because I
maybe
think
Tulsa County Women's Collective, or maybe through Daviii Third Eye. It just depends, and if we want to do it, because it'll be doing this all again. But that log, even though if we end up harvesting that like later into the winter, we might still have it fruit the same amount of time.
Yeah,
Like it might still colonize just as fast or catch up, especially if we end up using sawdust and get an angle grinder. Like do it the sawdust.
do it the
way.
other way just to try that. Yeah. So, yeah, should be good. I, for one, welcome our mushroom overlords.
Oh, God.
I'm looking forward to the shiitake log growing up, and I think it's exciting.
I am too. We've had some criticism that it might not be a very good bench because it's covered in wax and will eventually be covered in mushrooms. But I have sat on it many a time now, and I find it to be a great bench. The wax it's not melty. It's cold out there.
Yeah. It's not messy.
No. It's not aesthetic.
No, it doesn't look nice at the moment. It looks like a messy log.
Oh, and I also hear sometimes turkey tail can grow on your shiitake logs. They can coexist, and they do okay together. Because turkey tail likes to grow in oak, too.
You got some shiitake on your turkey tail.
I don't think people want anything to grow on their shiitake logs, but one of the people I was watching said they don't mind it because they try to grow turkey tail also. I'd also like to try to grow lion's mane.
Yeah.
And then there's mushrooms definitely can get harder. Shiitake is a beginner mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
I've been looking at cool things like lion's mane or chicken of the woods, those types of things. And it's like, hey, you've got to really give those a chance to colonize because they aren't as aggressive of a mushroom as shiitake, which I don't think shiitake is considered to be an aggressive like colonizer.
No.
But they're even less so. So those types of logs, you have to get your log and then like autoclave it in a special vacuum sealing bag and let it grow in there in very special conditions. And you're like managing your log in a bag.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. What would be, so you mentioned that was lion's mane and turkey tail. What would be...
No, turkey tail
or
likes
not turkey
to grow
tail.
there, yeah.
What would be a mushroom strain or species that you think would be a natural next step for us to expand with?
Well, I see those little grow boxes with things like lion's mane, and I feel like we can harvest turkey tail in the woods, so we don't have to worry about that. There's a potential, I think, even to find lion's mane or chicken of the woods or hen of the woods out there in our woods also. We know there's morel out there.
Yeah.
But I was thinking lion's mane because I think it's hard to grow. It's more challenging or more advanced to grow on logs. If I'm even right that it grows on logs, and I think it does. But you can buy those little boxes like the oyster mushrooms we grew.
Mm-hmm.
And you can grow lion's manes that way. And it might be more challenging than the oyster mushrooms. I haven't looked into it, but I don't think it's as hard as the log inoculation for that species or that level of mushroom cultivation.
Good deal.
Mm-hmm. And I think you can also get shiitakes that are better or worse for your environment, because I heard a lot of talk of cold weather shiitake versus a wide range. I think it was the other one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that what we're growing is a wide range. I do not think we are considered a cold weather.
No, I don't think we have enough cold weather months to justify
chill
that.
hours or whatever they need. Yeah.
I wonder if there's a hotter shiitake.
I think there probably
Strain.
are. But I think that's definitely like as we decide, you know, how into it we want to get.
Yeah, I think over the next, well, once we get our first flush and we do a couple of other things, that we'll have a better idea of how
How fun it
involved
is.
we want to get with it.
It seems like pretty low effort for high output, and it's fun. It was just like having an afternoon project, and then right now it just sits in the woods. Oh, one thing to consider is moisture management of your log. Because here in northeast Oklahoma, we're a pretty humid environment.
Uh-huh.
And, it stays relatively rainy on and off, but we can get some droughts. So
Yeah, until we get to mid-August, right? And then it's
Yeah.
like no rain.
And then if it goes more than 2 weeks without raining, probably want to water your logs. Go soak them with a hose, or I think non-treated water is better, but, whatever, moisture's better.
Yeah.
And but then you also want to avoid things like letting them sit in a mud puddle.
Yeah.
You don't want that either.
Again,
So,
trying to go mushrooms, not compost. You're not trying to rot your log or anything like that.
but that is the cool thing. Is like at the end of mushroom
Yes.
cultivation, you just have a more enriched soil. And also, from what I've heard, shiitakes are not something that would commonly escape into the wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which any non-native
Yeah, it's
species
not
you have
native,
to
true.
care about. And I have heard that honey oyster mushrooms, I want to say, have recently escaped into the wild in North America, and they're delicious edible from what I know, but they are more aggressive than native species that fill that role in the environment. So
Oh, wow.
it's not going to be a plus for diversity.
Yeah. Here come the mushrooms.
Yeah. But we're going to grow shiitake that are native to East Asia in our backyard. But apparently they aren't as aggressive as I think it was honey oysters that I was reading about.
Yeah. Well, until then. I will say everything about this process, as I've learned it, both from you and through experience, everything about this process has been surprisingly easier than I anticipated. Because when you're reading about it, it feels a little overwhelming. There's a learning curve at first because some of the terms are a little outside your comfort zone, and it's not as straightforward as planting a tomato garden,
Yeah.
But every step of the way, once you sort of get into it, you just start doing it. You're like, oh, this isn't nearly as difficult as I thought, and it's actually pretty fun. I joked about the drilling being tedious, but it's actually, as far as like afternoon projects go, I mean, I went into it, I was like, oh man, like how long is this going to take? And then I looked up like half an hour or 45 minutes later, I was like, oh, that was kind of fun. It's
fun.
wasn't a big deal at all.
No.
So everything about this has been extremely rewarding as far as like tickling that intellectual itch, where you're like learning about something. But then as far as the homesteadiness of, what we're interested in, we're like, oh, this is a brand new thing that we're expanding into.
Yeah.
And it's not nearly as complicated. I mean, I think
Or
building
costly.
building a chicken coop for the first time was way more
Way more
difficult than
complicated.
doing a shiitake log. Like shiitake log difficulty, if you've got access to a log and you can transport it to where you want it, it's like the difficulty is like 2 out of 5 or something like that.
Yeah, and cost wise too. If you already have like electric drill, I
Yeah.
think that even with shipping, that mushroom kit was like $40 or something.
Yeah, I don't think getting the kit tipped $50, and we got the log for free. We have a drill, we had a place for the log and everything, so I don't really think there was a whole lot of investment beyond that.
It wasn't bad at all. No, it was like $40 and then our time. So I mean, if you had to buy a drill, and then if we decide we want to do more, if we like enjoy growing mushrooms, then we'll probably have to buy an angle grinder. We'll probably want to get that special tool for the sawdust. So it will go up from there.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. We
No.
could just do it slow.
And hey, guys, if you want to, have a new project and a reason to get a new tool, and you don't have an angle grinder, there you go.
There you go.
Angle grinder, Gotta get a new tool. For the mushroom log.
You're right. It's been especially just easy. And each step we go to, it's intuitive and fun. And you do get to learn all these cool life cycles and what's going on. It makes sense as you learn about it. I thought it's a lot like worm composting. Like when you start doing vermiculture.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, worms sound like they're going to be a whole lot of hassle. As long as you have a place to put them, they're not that big of a hassle. They just eat your kitchen waste. And then
a
at
worm
the
bin
end,
is less work than a cat litter box.
Oh, easy.
And smells better.
It's less gross than it does more for you.
Yes.
Than
worm box over cat box any day.
I wish that cats would poop in the worm compost, and then that would work as a way of
we gotta
disposing
innovate
cat.
that. Yeah.
That's our contribution to society.
We've officially digressed now. We're talking about worm composting cat boxes. Mm-hmm. That's a winning idea.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should do is vermiculture, because we've done
get back
that
into
before.
that. It's been a while since we've had a worm
And
bin
the only
going.
reason we stopped is it's like we had to move, and I just dumped it all into that compost.
Yeah, we were moving, and
It might have been before that, but I just dumped it into the compost. But it was easy. We got compost, really high quality, good stuff. We just made our own.
Yeah.
Like they have these awesome. Anyway, we shouldn't talk about that now, but that's an easy thing we should do.
Another podcast is the worms, and composting.
And I
too.
miss having them.
Yeah.
Because they fill a niche even with a nice big compost pile. They make a little bit of a different product with a little bit of different waste.
Ooh, worms, just as cool as mushrooms are.
Yeah, we're all about creepy, crawly stuff. What was our first one? What did we talk about the first time?
Clay.
Clay is dirt.
Dirt.
And then we talk about, slimy mushrooms, and then creepy, crawly worms.
Omniscient fake trees.
Yeah, robot trees that kill bees and stuff. Man.
With their laser mind.
You freaking laser
With
mind.
their 5G killing the bees.
Mm-hmm. Well, but mushrooms, though, they're cool.
5 out of 5 would recommend. 2 out of 5 on the difficulty scale.
Yeah.
Super fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All hail fake tree.
All hail fake tree. Well, what do we have coming up in the near future for the Tulsa County Women's Collective?
Well, we're taking a break through December because December tends to be a busy month for people. And we're going to take our meetup indoors for the first time. We might meet at a local library. And then we have a very awesome club member, Katie, and she does a lot of great crafty and creative and artistic stuff, but one of her many skills is crochet. And so she was going to teach everyone to master the art of crocheting, or at least the basics of it, like the very basics of getting started. And so Katie awesomely offered, with just a little bit of pressure, peer pressure, to lead it. And so we're thinking about maybe doing just like granny squares of different types of crochet knots. I don't even know what they're called.
Yeah.
I get to learn. And then me and Liz were talking about how it might be fun if everybody wants to contribute some of those granny squares to build a collab granny square blanket. And
that'd be cool.
Each one you contribute is like a raffle ticket. Then you get to raffle off the blanket at the end. And
that'd be cool.
Someone will get some crazy wild Afghan blanket. Now, all of this is tentative, but that's kind of what we're thinking. So I think that'd be really fun. Maybe we'll get some like kind of standard or average size crochet hooks, and then everybody bring whatever yarn they have, whatever extra crochet hooks they have.
Sort of like how you did the painting.
Yeah, like,
meetup.
Everybody brought some stuff. It's
bring
like,
some paint.
it's rock soup.
Yeah,
it's like,
whatever you got.
you bring your extra stuff. Some people don't have stuff, we'll provide stuff. And then Katie will provide her knowledge and lead us all through, at least getting started. And then I would really love to have a blanket that was a bunch of people's effort put together. That would be so cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool idea. I hadn't heard about that yet.
That was Liz's idea. She's got fantastic ideas.
Liz has good ideas.
She's got good ideas.
So that'll be in January, the Tulsa County Women's Collective. And anyone who wants to join up with that or wants more info, they can find you mainly on Facebook, right?
Yeah, we're on Facebook with our group. We're on Instagram too.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very small presence on Reddit. We used it one time.
Yeah.
But Facebook, Instagram.
So Tulsa County Women's Collective on Facebook.
And on DaviiThirdEye.com.
Yes, we've got a page for it and a link and all that on DaviiThirdEye.com as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one cool thing about Katie is that she actually has her own, cottage business making all these cool things. She does crochet. She makes all these great little, stuffy animals out of crochet. Just weird, wild things, really cute things. She also does a lot of painting, taxidermy, super cool, creative. I'm not sure if she actually sells the taxidermy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if that's part of her business
But
formally.
yeah, I don't know. But it's Groovy Ghost Creations. Groovy Ghost Creations.
Groovy Ghost Creations.
Yeah, it's Groovy Ghost Creations. And I think she's on Facebook and Instagram. She might have an Etsy store,
I think
too.
she has an Etsy store too, and we'll throw some links for Groovy Ghost Creations in the episode as well.
Yeah.
But once again, want to say Groovy Ghost Creations, Katie, you can find her on Facebook and Instagram.
She's a neighbor here in the Homestead District.
Homestead District BA.
Woo, woo.
Yeah, she's got all kinds of cool squishy crocheted toys and creations, everything from hats for your dog to these squishy, I don't know what she fills with them. They're almost like a water balloon, but
Yeah,
they're
a bunch
really
of little
thick.
marbly balls that are soft.
Yeah, and our kids they've lasted a lot longer than we ever guessed they would because we thought they'd get popped, but they love them. They're like fish or jellyfish.
They're
or
vomiting puffer fish, I think. And you squeeze them, and then all those weird balls just jump out of their mouth. And the boys love them, and they can throw them at each other, and they last a long time. She also knitted me a cute little mushroom and a cute little bee. Awesome stuff. Yeah, she does great creativity stuff, and we're so lucky to get to learn how to crochet from her, or at least just give us a start into learning how to crochet. But you can look and see everything you could do if you learn and develop skills like Katie has. I've seen her make Scottish cows, those cute fluffy Scottish cows.
Yeah, the hairy ones.
Mm-hmm. She's made people's actual animals. She's done commissions of people's individual pets, and they are very cool. Of these crocheted creatures.
Can't say enough cool things about this. Excited to see what you guys make in January. Another shout out for Groovy Ghost Creations.
Groovy Ghost Creations.
Yeah. And just go check out her page. She's got all sorts of super cute pictures of her creations on there, and she does booths and travels around also. So check out Groovy Ghost Creations.
Groovy Ghost Creations.
Hi, this is Chris from the Daviii Third Eye podcast with a reminder that you can listen on the go with hands-free listening powered by Alexa for iOS and Android and on all Echo devices. I, for one, welcome our robot overlords. Some of my best friends are robots. They're probably listening right now, along with Alexa. Watch, after you listen to this, try this out. You can say things like, Alexa, follow Daviii Third Eye on Amazon Music, or follow Daviii Third Eye on Amazon Music, and then you'll get new episodes when they become available. Or simply, listen to Daviii Third Eye on Amazon Music. You could even say, listen to the latest episode of Daviii Third Eye on Amazon Music. Look, I bet you could say any combination of Daviii Third Eye podcast, listen, and Amazon Music, and Alexa will figure it out. 'Cause it's the future, and our phones know what we want better than we are prepared to accept. Deal with it. Oh, and don't forget to follow the Daviii Third Eye podcast. Thanks. Looking to grow your urban farm or turn your goats, chickens, and pumpkin pies into the next agritourism hotspot? Lane Industries helps communities and companies go from planning to profit. No job is too big or too small. Visit lanebiz.com or follow us at lanebiz25 on X. That's lanebiz.com, helping your local roots grow strong. This episode of the Daviii Third Eye podcast is brought to you by Crescent Moon Agency. Crescent Moon Agency harnesses over 75 years of combined marketing experience to illuminate bold new paths for serious business professionals. Like the crescent moon, an ancient symbol of growth, intuition, and transformation, the agency guides clients through phases of evolution with insight, clarity, and unmatched precision. Crescent Moon Agency's mission is to deliver state-of-the-art, strategically sound, and creatively elevated marketing solutions that reflect the cutting edge of modern business, while honoring the timeless principles of trust, craftsmanship, and excellence. Crescent Moon Agency provides a Tiffany-level experience, refined, rare, and radiant, with white-glove service, bespoke strategy, and results that shimmer with significance. For leaders who seek more than just attention, for those ready to rise, we are the moon that lights the way forward. Take your next step with Crescent Moon Agency. Online at crescentmoonagency.com.
Oh.